afternoon to all the participants who have been joining us through YouTube and other platforms for another session on skill modules. We understand that in this series of the presentations that we have come across in the last 1 week, there has been a tremendous response over these sessions, and it's really, you can say, good to know. And that's if I put it very simply, that the fraternity here has really taken it in a very big way and very positively. I am, just repeating again. What happened? Yeah. Sorry, because there was some technical glitch somewhere. So I hope I'm audible to everyone. Okay. So I'll move around. For the first timers, I always put in that these series are a part of the circular number 48, which was put up by the CBSE on 6th April regarding the introduction of skill modules in the school system. And if you go through that circular, it talks about how the existing teachers can become a part of the teaching fraternity of these skill modules. And along with all the organizations and institutions and schools who have been a part of developing these modules with CBSE. Another small thing which has come across in these sessions is that although initially we had brought these modules for the middle school level, which was catering to 6th to 8th standard students, now there is a possibility and there is a demand, and our honorable chairperson has also talked about it in our oriented session on 1st May, that we can have these skill modules be imparted to a 9th class student or a 10th class student or an 11th or a 12th. So there is no demarcation as such that it has to be only confined to the 6th to 8th class students. To add to it, only thing which is important is that one has to go as per the series of the module. Like it is module 1, then it has to be module 2, and it has to be a module 3. We can't really, any student should not just start on with a module 2 without undergoing the module 1, which is the first module or the basic module. So this is something that we all have to take care. Any number of skill modules can be taken up by a school, so there is no fixed criteria of you should have one or you should have two. It just depends how you would be able to take up these modules in your own school system. Just one small point, because this was another thing which have been asked again and again by all the stakeholders at times on through our mails and all. I would just repeat it, although I am talking about it every day, but I'll repeat it again, that these particular skill modules have to be done in a mode which is like 70 is to 30. That means 70% is your practicals, which can be a part of your hobby class, which can be a part of any club, which can be a part of bagless days, whatever is there. And all these things are also mentioned, I'll say again, on circular number 48. So it is my humble request that please go through the circular, and even after that, if you have any queries, we are all there to answer your queries. And regarding where to find these modules, it is also very much evident on these circulars. You go to the CBSE academic website, wherein there is a section on skill education, and under books, you would find all these skill modules which have already been prepared and are ready to be taken up by the schools. Now, not taking much of your time, we'll be coming over to what is a mask making, or the module which we are talking about today. And as we know, traditionally, the craft of carving mask is not something which is new to the humanity, and it is not only in India but all around the world. We have such instances where mask making or masks are an integral part of the traditional systems since antiquity, for both ceremonial and practical purpose, as well as for performing arts and entertainment. Masks have been a very, very important part. I would just leave this entire session for the panel of experts that we have today, and they will walk us through this beautiful craft or creativity or art, whatever we call it, at this a beautiful artistic expression. Over to you, Sandeep sir, for taking us through this 1 hour of session, and I hope we all will be enjoying it further. Thank you so much, sir, and over to you.
Thank you so much, Niti ma'am. And once again, we begin by thanking CBSE and NEP for bringing this unique combination of skill manuals. It was so much of fun developing the manuals, interacting with schools, principals, teachers, experts, and watching the students enjoy the process. First stage of making the manual, second, of course, using this as a pilot project. So the fun has been that for more than a year and a half, this was under process because we began making the manuals when COVID got over. And it took around a year for schools to make it and make it as a pilot project to test it out. So these are the best people to present the manuals to you. The schools who have made the manuals and of course who've tested them out for a whole year. So any sort of inquiry for them is more than welcome from your side. Mask making or any of the projects that we've done till now, what would be very fascinating is that in your city, you have a lot of handloom houses. So try taking out the children to watch out for those places. In the handloom houses, there are different state projects coming up. There is state art and craft. That is where the children will get to get the actual feel of it. And so many more questions will emerge from there. So when Malika ma'am discussed with us the possibility of making one skill manual from her school, that is Tagore International School east of Kailash, it was so welcoming that she said she wanted to do something on mask making. And mask making attracts me so much because I've seen it in a good number of schools at the reception that they've developed a few masks and extremely involved with theater. So we've seen a lot of designer masks there. And who else would have been a better resource person than Stephen Morazzi, the theater person from Delhi, who became the resource person to prepare this manual. So the combination of theater and mask, Tagore International School, Stephen Morazzi, and Malika ma'am became a beautiful combination to see the work. And of course, what we enjoy in these manuals is the lovely color and the projects which are coming up. A small advice to schools, don't get stuck on to making just taking one manual or taking one subject as a topic for your skill manual. The NEP has announced it, CBSE board as chairperson has announced it, that you can take more than one, you can take two, you can take three, depending upon the facilities that you have, the infrastructure that you have, you can do a lot more. So this is a lovely opportunity come into hands, which we should not let go. The other part I want to know, the other teachers are watching this program, 13 sessions are going to be used for the manuals that PDKF has coordinated to make, but we have 24 more coming, and it's not the end. So anyone wants to join in to make a particular manual, maybe of the craft of your state or something that you're very passionate about, do get in touch with us. We are there to prepare more. So all the best. Have fun making masks. I've enjoyed making them, so I can assure you that your children will really love it and lovely places for display at home or in schools. So over to Malika ma'am, Principal, East of Kailash, Tagore International. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Sandeep sir, and thank you so much, Niti ma'am. Yes, it was a wonderful experience to prepare this mask manual. One, because this is something which we have been doing since our young age. Whenever we presented something or we had to do some games also, so we used to make these masks and hide behind the mask to either to scare people or to depict our different emotions. And that was the idea when we thought, when Sandeep sir said that, okay, we are making some manuals on skill as highlighted by the National Education Policy, where the emphasis was more on developing the skills of students and building the competencies. So the thought process was, let's see how we can merge both of them or marry both of them, building the competencies as well as developing the skills. So we had a lot of brainstorming session, and we were fortunate that we are fortunate that we have Stephen sir with us, who's a theater personality himself, that he guided us that yes, it is a very good manual which we can prepare on mask, because if you talk of mask, it is an integral part of our Indian culture. Where any festival you pick up, whether it is Aloha's festival of Ladakh or you take Onam of Kerala, you go to Gujarat or Nagaland, everywhere you'll see that all these cultural festivals, it begins with something related to the mask. We have a lot of other activities which happen in the entire country, uh, mostly related with religion, but otherwise also, if you see, mask builds the character of a particular state. It highlights the character of a particular state, depending on what forms of mask or what type of mask we are using. And so, when we were thinking of what to take up for a topic for developing the skills, we said, why not take something which will help students understand the culture, the ancient culture or ancient heritage of our country. And as CBSE also talks about Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat, where we want students to know about the culture of the entire country. So this was one topic which we could integrate, which was not limited to a particular state or region, but it was something which was related to the entire country. Now, if we take, when we started researching about it, so first research came on mask from the different parts of the world. And there we found such great resource material, as well as something which is very relevant to India. Most of the masks, if you see, there is something common in the mask of the world and what we make in India and what we use in India. So I would like to start with a small presentation on mask of the world. So Jaya ma'am, if I may request you to play that presentation.
Ma'am, are we not having the audio with this presentation? It's only for the visual part?
Yes, ma'am. This is only for visual. We'll be having the presentation where we talk about our mask.
No problem.
Ma'am, is the music not audible?
No, no.
Okay, there must be a technical glitch there, I think.
It's okay. It's okay.
So here we are basically showing the different types of masks used in different countries
Okay.
and how the mask have evolved over a period of time. How it was more for a tribal mask, which were used to what we are using now with technology also. So these are the points which we included in our mask making curriculum also. That is the symmetry, geometric shape, simplification, and pattern, repetition, colors. So this is the base from where we picked up the curriculum for mask, and we thought of taking up the topic of this mask for the nation. Now, again, like I said, that we did not want to build a curriculum which is a stand-alone curriculum for skill development. Our idea was to take up a topic which can be integrated with the curricular subjects also. Like we talk of art integration, which CBSE talks of including art integration and as per new education policy also. So through the entire session, we'll also show how we have incorporated that in the curricular subjects also. Before that, let me hand over the stage now to Stephen Sir, who's authored all the three manuals, which I'm very gladly, I'll say that it's very good that CBSE has said that now it's not class 6, 7, and 8, but it is level 1, level 2, and level 3. Because when we were discussing, Stephen Sir also said that we cannot restrict it to class 6 or 7 or 8. It can be 3 levels. Students first should take the first level, then they go to the second, and then they go to the third. So it goes very much in sync with what CBSE is saying. So without any further ado, I hand over the stage to Stephen Sir to tell us how he conceived the thought of this mask and how we have prepared this mask. Thank you. Over to Stephen Sir.
Thank you, Malika ma'am. Will we be running the visuals alongside? The aim of our mask making manuals is to introduce students to masks from different Indian states through hands-on activities. The content, if you note, is simple and easy to follow, with plenty of step-by-step diagrams. Tools and materials that are intended to be used are basic. They are easily available and mostly discarded and reusable items. No sophisticated or extensive workspace, equipment, or investment is needed. The normal learning space at school or at home can be the children's workspace as well. These manuals are originally for 3 levels of skill development over a span of 3 successive academic years. At level 1 is the manual for grade 6 or any other that you decide, which is the most basic. At level 2, here we have shown the manual for grade 7, which could be the next in line to what you choose. And at level 3 is the manual for grade 8. Each manual has 3 parts essentially. We have the initial pages, we have the work content pages, and the final pages. The initial pages consist of the acknowledgements, the foreword, index, important note for teachers, and the map of India. The content pages consist of the topics or the chapters, each of which are divided into 2 parts. Section A, which provides pictorial and brief textual information on masks of different states of India. And then section B, which shows students how to prepare their mask designs through step-by-step instructions and diagrams. Finally, we have the end pages, which consists of references used and a glossary with word meanings to help the students and teachers along the way. Now, this is very important. Teachers assigned to carry out this course must carefully read the important note for teachers on page 5, as it provides brief but necessary explanations and guidelines to enable them effectively lead students on their journey of discovery, creativity, and fulfillment. To help students better understand the text, certain words have been highlighted, as you can see in yellow. These must be checked up immediately as we progress through chapters, and then refer to the glossary for their meanings. And the meanings also must be understood by the children. The teachers can add on further explanation from their own side to make it simpler and easy to understand for the students. Now, the materials we use, surprise, they're virtually nothing complicated, nothing expensive. Step by step, the basic material for our mask making are cardboard, mostly discarded boxes, and materials, old files, old folders, pieces of cardboard lying around. You can even have cartons, you can even have packaging. For add-ons, which means the things that you can add on to the mask, shape-wise, we use anything ranging from waste card material to new or waste or used chart paper sheets. One side used, you can use the reverse. Poster papers, bits and pieces lying around, colored paper. You can even have gift wrapping paper, whatever's lying about. One side used A4 sheets, very important. So you don't waste the A4 sheets. And also pieces of fabric which are lying around the house, which can be put into a basket and kept in the class. All these can be used as your basic structural material for the masks. For pasting or holding together parts of the mask, any of the following can be used. You have paper glue, you have Fevicol, the most popular, or even sticky paste made from cooked rice or flour, which is commonly known as lei. Very effective, and I myself have worked a lot on masks with lei, and it's a wonderful medium to work with. Then for decorating the masks, you can use whatever you can collect lying around the house and the school. Things like cloth pieces, wool pieces, strings, ribbons, beads, sequins, even seeds and leaves. For drawing and coloring for the basic material, for the basic mask design, all that's required are the simple basic tools, the pencils, the erasers, colored pencils, or posters or acrylic paints, any of these. Paintbrushes, any kind, cloth rags, very important to keep around, discarded plastic containers, the food containers that we use, all these will come in use. Now the tools, here again, they are the common tools lying around us. You have a pair of scissors, a 12-inch ruler, scale. You can have a metal nail for making holes in the cardboard, string or wire for hanging the masks. And you'll note that we have avoided as far as possible any tools which are overly sharp or pointed, which could, in the hands of unskilled kids, cause damage here or there. It might hurt them. So we've used all blunt tools and things that will not cause them any harm. It must be noted that the masks, as suggested in these manuals, are more for decoration and display rather than wearing. They are smaller and simpler for level 1, a bit more detailed for level 2, and with a lot more detailed texture and add-ons for level 3. In order that the children are truly able to learn and acquire desired skills, it is very important that teachers ensure that students do the work themselves, even if it's not so perfect. Allow them to make mistakes, guide them, show them how it's done. We don't need perfection at this stage. The more they work, the more mistakes they make, the better they will get at the skill. To constantly connect fun with learning, because with kids, learning is no fun unless there's fun slated on the menu. So we might as well put it loud and clear. We have some exciting puzzles, games, all related to the subject of masks, which in themselves can be modified by the teachers into further interesting puzzles or games or activities. These may be played in the classroom or at home, wherever it's possible. An important component of the mask making course are the two exhibition come sale events that we've chartered. The first is a simple version suggested to be held somewhere midway in the year, while the second, a broader version, intended to be held at the end of the year. At this point, all the work done by the students can be placed on display and also on sale, and may be the best platform for evaluating work actually done. So, we do hope this little presentation excites you enough to undertake mask making as your enjoyable new subject for skill development. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stephen, sir, for that beautiful and quick, short and sweet presentation. Yes, it has highlighted, like sir said, we have highlighted on certain things. We kept in mind what we would like our students to learn, plus how students can use these masks without too much of, which is not very complicated. It's very easy for students to make, plus it's using all sustainable material. Like, we are promoting SDG goals also in our school. Our theme was SDG goals. So we kept in mind that all the material which we use are the recyclable material. It is keeping its environment friendly, as well as the equipments which they have to use are all student friendly. They will not harm themselves by making these masks or making these things, and the satisfaction they'll get after seeing the end product when they display it on the PTMs and we do the exhibition, when parents will come and see. So that will be a motivation for students. We also help them to develop their entrepreneurship skills by putting a value to that mask. Now, it's not that they can just put any value to the mask. So the whole curriculum will also talk about that how much did you spend on a particular mask, how much was the what was the investment, what is the profit you are going to take, and how much are you going to charge. So that is also one aspect which we have looked into when we made this manual. Now, also, like initially I said, that it is connected with the curricular subjects. It helps in the art integration of the curricular subjects. So first I'll show you a small video what we have done in our school when we worked with the mask. So I'll first share that video and then I'll talk more about it. Music is not audible. Yeah. Increase the volume.
So here I have mass is name was Diana. She was very, very proudly dressed. That knew everything. But so very good at me. He was very, but he never, ever has anyone. He just gave orders to everyone. Kill them! Oh my God! Mommy, that's nice. Yes, my Lord. It's Charlie. Your house. What is the light? Come here, please. Come here. Only one time. One day, one also.
Now, I think there is an audio issue. It is not clear, or if there is a
Yeah.
technical issue with that, then we can just narrate it, whatever is there, and put it on mute, the music.
Okay, so in the math class, we have used it for teaching symmetry. So now this is the social science class.
Okay.
So when we are taking mask and we are relating it with the state, so what the teacher does is she shows the mask, asks them to identify what mask is that, because they have already done that in their mask curriculum class. They have studied about the mask. Now the teacher is asking them to identify the state from where the mask belongs to, and then talk more about the festivals of that state and talk about the various cultural activities of that state. So that's how we incorporated that in the social science class. I'm sorry, there's a technical issue with the audio that it's not been very. So here's how the child is pointing out the state, and then the class discusses about that particular state and talks about how mask can be our reflection of the culture of that particular state. So that's how we utilize. So now if you see, we have used mask once. We taught the students how to make mask. So there also we are teaching them symmetry, we are teaching them measurements, we are helping them hone their motor skills, because they have to do the cutting and they have to be very sharp and precise about the same. We are teaching them the entrepreneurship skills, because they are talking about putting it up as an exhibition. And yes, our parents have been very supportive, who come and they buy these masks, and when students get that profit, when they see the profit which they have earned, which then is utilized in investing in something which is any of the social service activities of the school. So they feel very proud that it's their contribution from their activity, whatever they did. So it helps in honing the overall personality of the student. Now, the same student then with the same mask, when it is used in the class for teaching the various concepts, so they understand that these are not two different silos in which we talk about the co-curricular activities and the curricular activities. They go hand in hand. So we do storytelling using the mask in our language classes, which you saw in the first video. The second was where we are teaching mathematics, where we teach about ratio and proportion, we teach about the measurements, we teach about symmetry. So all is taught using, it can be used as a pedagogy. And in the social science, definitely social science is one subject where it can be used the maximum, because it's directly related to the culture of the state or the region, and we talk about India more in that. So there we also include Ek Bharat Shresht Bharat. Last year, for Delhi, the state given was Sikkim. Now this year, I think it's become Andaman Nicobar Island, which we have to highlight. So there are different activities which students can do. And we always have a fair end of the year, which we call as a skill mela. And like even CBSE promotes skill melas. So in that also, yes, we have around 10 skill subjects which we have introduced in our school. So every group puts up their exhibition of their own work. And that's a very excellent platform for students to hone their communication skills, to hone their entrepreneurship skills, like I said, and the motor skills definitely, which are developed. So it was a privilege and it was excellent to work on this manual. So with this, I think we have discussed about the manual. Thank you so much. Now, if anyone has any questions, if we are here, sir is here to, if there are any doubts how to implement it in the school, we are here, we'll be happy to help. So thank you, Niti ma'am. If any questions, we are happy to answer those.
Sure. Thank you, Malika ma'am. Thank you very much. It's okay, although there was some technical issue with the audio, but
Yeah,
I think
audio.
video
Yeah.
was excellently made and you had summed up very nicely. So I think it made up for that glitch.
Yeah.
And I
Thank
think
you.
before moving forward, I have my colleague Jyoti ma'am. She might be there putting up a few queries, and there are some queries that are coming up on the platform here on the YouTube and other media. So we will also take up those queries in the session that we move ahead. Yes, ma'am. Over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jyoti. I just wanted to ask that how we teach the student that these masks are different from COVID-19 masks.
Stephen, sir, would you like to answer?
One of the main differences is that the COVID-19 masks are actually a very recent discovery. Medical masks were always there as long as hospitals existed, as long as surgeries were done. The doctors always wore those masks, but we never paid much attention to them in the public domain. But with the COVID, the pandemic, and then we had to enter that domain ourselves. Everyone knew what a mask was, but those are essentially medical masks. Those are meant for health purposes. We are dealing with the cultural aspect, the people, the daily features, the occupational features, the learning features connected directly to ancestry of, let's say, societies. So it's a much, much older tradition. It's ancient. And the remarkable thing is they are still in use. In all the cultures that we've touched on, be it across the oceans, wherever you have these main cultures, you have in China, you have in Japan, you have in Australia, New Zealand, the Americas, the North, the South, in certain parts of Europe, all these cultures, Africa, a huge place with mask traditions, and India, we are still using them. So one of the things that occurred to me also was, I was expecting it, a question on this count. Why can't we just feed in the information into the 3D machine and sit back and it'll be made? Very easy. Wow. I think we know enough now. Every day the newspapers are flooded with concerns. It's great to have advancement of technology, but motor skills have to be developed side by side. We cannot afford to lose them. They are God-given things. Machines don't have them. So we have to preserve these skills, and masks are an amazing means to do that. So it's antiquity, it's connecting, it's a very old tradition. The masks that we are dealing with, essentially, the medical masks are very recent and are restricted to medicine, health.
Yeah, so the main difference is we have to tell, like,
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. This was really, really a wonderful answer. And
yeah, no, I would like to add something here,
sure,
ma'am.
ma'am. Sure.
Like even when we started with this mask curriculum, the first thing even students thought we are going to talk about the COVID mask. But then we gave them, okay, find out what are the different types of masks which you can get. And that is when they also said, oh, there are some masks with which we can put it and we can dance. They came up with that we paint our face for various theater forms like mine. So that is how so it's a good idea to the students that, okay, we are talking about mask now, which mask do you think we are talking about? So yes, there is surgical mask, there is medical mask, as well as there are cultural masks. So which one would you like to learn? So that is how, yes, by even when we started, there was a little confusion on that. But yes, now if we talk of mask, students know what mask we are talking about. We would like to hide behind a cultural mask than a COVID mask for any day.
Certain choice between, it's like
Unmute.
ice cream, you know, an ice cream
Ice
and
cream, you know,
maybe
an ice cream and maybe
just a packet of biscuits. They choose the ice cream because it's like
they choose the ice cream
we've
because
had enough
it's
of
like
these medical masks. Thank goodness.
we've had enough of these
We've
medical
seen enough.
masks. Thank
We know
goodness.
enough about them.
We've seen enough.
Let's
We know
You
enough
have to
about
mute
them.
yourself.
take the
One
more
of you will
exciting
have to
form.
mute.
Yeah.
I think you're in
Take
the
the more
same
exciting.
room and it echoes then. Yes, sir. Please continue.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
the
and
amazing thing about these
these
masks
masks are
we have the idea is that being books for kids or the course meant for kids, we don't want to overload them with too much of, how should I say, textual material or concepts or theory that will make them feel, oh, we are trapping them into another academic course. They have to be free to travel, to go into depth, to just feel free, excited to make the journey. And over here, they're going to discover some amazing things. Already, kids are poking around the net with the specific idea of locating what's the difference between a mask in India and the mask in South America. And they are surprised because there are similarities and there are dissimilarities. And the reasons for both are remarkably different. It's quite amazing, and these things are really not even covered in our textbooks in general. So we are learning a great deal more about the world and its people, about our own people, our own country. And one thing I discovered, a very interesting thing, I was talking to Malika ma'am also. I said, you know, I've been doing a plotting along because I had to do a lot of study myself before I attempted this. I'm no expert in any of this, but it was an amazing journey because, and one thing I discovered that India as a country, it's you know, the past particularly comes alive. It becomes today because all the places where masks are still alive are essentially the places where society has thrived, culture has thrived. The extreme south, the extreme east, the extreme west, extreme north, and then the coastlines. It's remarkable how these places are saturated with these traditions of mass culture. This and why? The good question our children are going to enter into discussion. Why? What about the central areas? There's an obvious reason. I wouldn't like to get into that. I would like the kids to enter that discussion. They'll find out for themselves. There are reasons for that. And, you know, that's the amazing thing. They will learn about all subjects, discovery, you know, through exploration, not by being told what it is.
Right, sir. Right, sir. I think that's a very, very interesting take on how you have, put in together all the aspects of how the mask making really goes around. We started with a question, but now it has really gone into a very good narrative from you, and that speaks volumes of how you must have gone into this skill, and you're trying to impart this skill to the students now. Very interesting question that has come up, and I think a panel is there who can answer. One of the here a YouTube session participant has asked, "What is the difference between a mask and a puppet when it comes to creativity?" Basically,
Simple. Mask means face or part of the body, predominantly the face. There are 3 or 4 different kinds of masks, some which cover only the face, some which cover up to upper chest, and some which cover part of the body. There are very few masks who are complete body masks, but essentially the mask has to cover the face because the idea of a mask is to hide behind it. And the face and the eyes are essentially the place where you identify an individual, you identify the subject. By hiding behind the mask, you create mystery, an aura of mystery. What is it? Who is it? And this magic takes over the learning process.
thank you.
And the other, you mentioned the second thing, the puppet. The puppet can be anything from a hand puppet to a complete body puppet to the different kinds of puppets. Essentially, the puppet deals with the entire body because that is a person.
True. And the specific query that was along with this difference, they wanted to know vis-a-vis the creativity. When we're talking about the tools or the creativity aspect, so is there a major difference when somebody sits down to make a mask and vis-a-vis make a puppet?
I think both areas are quite separate in certain respects. You see, in art, you'll have the same materials you use, you'll have the same procedures, but essentially how you deal with, let's say, it's a difference between like a dentist and a surgeon. Both are doctors, but the dentist deals essentially with the mouth, while the surgeon would be any specific part of the body. So it's like that. So when we enter the puppetry area, you're dealing with a full body shape. And when you talk about creativity, the creativity is can apply to puppets, can apply to masks. Just take a look at images of, let's say, the mask from Ladakh and the mask from Bengal or down south. It's so remarkably different that one would think these are two different countries altogether. And yet they are coming from one nation. And this is going to throw up another aspect. We have talked about this a long time. We have a wonderful Republic Day parade where we highlight the different states and all their tableaus and the differences, but we don't have enough time to, tell them more about. There's such a lot of other things that exist. Here, children will be excited to make their own discoveries and they'll find huge amounts of similarities and dissimilarities, and then they apply their own take, which is the creative aspect, to those to bring them up to date. And the masks also, right at the end in book 3, we have a section, a topic where they actually go to town with the designs, and there's nothing wrong in that as long as they are within limits of decency and they are attractive and they appeal to people. Some of them have just one eye or 3 different colors on the face, so it's not necessarily portraying life as it is. It's the take on life, and that only comes through an extremely creative approach.
Thank you. I think this question was asked by Ma'am Sudha Venkatachari, and she has thanked you through her message for really clarifying the confusion that she was having. Okay, ma'am. I hope now it clarifies, Sudha ma'am. There is another faculty, Mr. Pradeep. He just wants to know that if you all have been a part of the implementation of the skill module already in your school system, is there any way guidance how it can be incorporated for a science class, basically?
We have mute. Okay, yes, we have started incorporating that. So we experimented right now with math, languages, and social science. I'm sure in science also we'll be able to do something. We have to put more thought to it and find out how we do it. If it was puppets, yes, science class would have been easy. We can make a puppet of a skeleton. I was thinking about that when you were talking about puppets. But yes, mask also will be able to see when if we can integrate art in every subject, we'll be able to integrate mask also in every subject. There will be ways and means of incorporating mask in science too. So we just need to sit and brainstorm. Everything is possible. There's nothing which we cannot do. And you may ask students, they will come up with ideas. So we can have now the thought which is coming to my mind is you can have a red mask and a blue mask, and you can do the litmus test in the classroom, which we do in the acid-based lesson in class 7. And you can ask students to lift the red mask, the blue mask as per the acidity or the whatever chemical they're using. That's the immediate thought which has come to my mind when we talk of incorporating with science.
Yes,
in respect of creativity, when you have the similarities and dissimilarities between masks and puppets, as it was mentioned earlier, is that the mask deals with facial expressions. You can go to town with facial expressions. You have a range of emotions which a puppet would not have, because the puppet's dealing with more of the limb movements and perhaps the entire body movement from a distance, in a sense. The mask is a close up view of the face, of what the character behind the mask is thinking.
Right, sir. Wonderfully explained, sir. And I think just to add to it, if we are talking about this particular genre, like mask making and how it can be incorporated into science class, a very small thought comes to my mind that probably the ingredients in a color can be discussed, the chemistry of the compositions can be discussed in some way, and there can be a possibility. I think whether the mask is made through a wood or a pulp or a paper, so maybe these textures and these designs and certain things can also become a part of a science class. So I think the science teacher would be able to take it in a good way. Somebody has suggested here that we can have a food chain discussed through the mask making, and this seems a very good idea, because if we are taking care of the different animals, we can have the mask of different animals, and that sort of a carnivorous food chain can be discussed. So we do have, this is all a teachers fraternity who's also listening and being a part of our session. So they themselves are, pitching in and trying to give us ideas.
There was an inquiry, a very cute inquiry yesterday from one of the kids, one of the chirpy ones, the ones that really speak up their minds, is that we have edible this, edible that. We're eating our plates nowadays and our spoons and forks. Why can't we have edible masks? I said, wow, that's a great idea. Then everyone's going to take that subject.
Yes, and we have one Gayatri ma'am. She has just written down here, we can make a mask of a molecule. So excellent, really, that makes sense that instead of animals and vegetables and traditional forms or the mythological characters, why can't we just take an atom or a molecule or something which can be converted into a mask and can have a role play? Because masks can be a very good tool to have role play vis-a-vis any class that we talk about. So that has to be worked out. If we have more and more schools getting into this genre, getting into the mask making, it will just not be something that we have the idea of. It's an arts and craft class, and it's only for the arts and craft session that we should talk about this particular module. It can permeate through all the different classes when it comes to such creative ideas that we are already getting in the forum.
There's no
Yes.
set, there's no props, there's just a face. That's all.
Right.
So the possibilities are immense. We have a lot of, if we sit and we put our mind to it, we can use it in a lot of different ways. Not only for one particular subject or one particular skill, it is an interdisciplinary topic which can be taken with anything and everything.
Right. And normally when we are taking up the skill modules, there is one thing which we are always discussing as resource persons and as CBSE family, that this is something which we call as that as a skill, and which we should not relate to the grades, which we should not relate to something which is academically oriented, as sir has already pointed out. But still, a few of them on the forum want to know that is there a possibility that once we get into this art and get skilled as a student and gets takes it in a career perspective later on, maybe, so what are the career prospects of how this particular skill can be commercially inclined? Although with the middle school we normally don't touch upon these topics, but then there were a few of them who wanted to know, so I just thought maybe we can just ask sir or ma'am to just have some idea on that also.
See, its commercial aspect is coming when we are talking about making it like at school level. We are talking of the entrepreneurship skill. We are already doing that. These are can be used for pieces. They can use it as decorative items. They can prepare at commercial level as decorative items. It can be used in theater. If they go on a larger scale, then we can also use it as mask for theaters, mask for various festivals. We have so many festivals in India. Every festival, if you see, there's one or the other type of mask which can be used. So yes, commercially also it can be definitely used, but only that at what scale we want to use it. Because while teaching the topic, we are touching upon the entrepreneurship skills also. So when they are going on a commercial scale, they'll have an idea of how to even put the rates for these masks, how to do the pricing of the mask. So that's also very much possible. There's no problem.
If they want to test, as you said, how they figure that out? If the mask is good, it sells. So the more they apply themselves and get better and better, the outcome is going to be better. And that's the indication. We don't even need to name a price. It happens automatically.
And if I'm not wrong, I think there are now even digitalized masks, or the masks which are done through computer systems and all 3D masks. So as to say, but even if those are something which are there, in as commercially viable options, but if a kid has learned the basics of the facial expressions or how the mask has to be created, so then this might help them later on if they want to do it in a major way when it comes to the help of the technology, when it comes to the other systems which are there. So
yes, definitely. When they do it with hands, they learn if they have learned the measurement, they have learned the designing part. They can even go with digital designing
right.
of the same thing. Whatever they make, they can create a digital design and prepare a mask digitally.
Right. So I think now that answers the question where somebody was pointing out that we should just not have it at an arts and crafts scene. It can have a whole spectrum of prospects if a child gets into this skill form. So I think there are more questions, but then we would be taking up later on through mails and other forms, because we have to put down, it's already 4:57 and this is normally a live session that we take for an hour. So I would just like to thank all of you who are as panelists, as resource persons, as creators of this excellent module. Malika ma'am from Tagore International School east of Kailash, and Stephen sir, both of you have really taken the session brilliantly. We didn't even realize that it's been an hour now and we have to close down the session.
Yeah,
So,
ma'am, indispensable to our project.
Yes.
And she always hides.
Thank you so much. And just to add to it, this is a vision of the CBSE chairperson and of course the director of skill education. And we thank all of them for this. Hello, ma'am, Jaya ma'am. Thank you so much for being there behind the scenes. But still, we could hear your reverberations, the vibrations in the entire system here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And I would also thank my colleague here, Jyoti ma'am, who have joined us today. Thank you so much. And my IT team who's sitting here and gets a little nervous every time there is some glitch happening. So thank you, Chandan, for being here. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, CBSE, and thank you, Sandeep sir, for giving us this opportunity.
Yeah, definitely.
It was a
Sandeep
pleasure.
Sandeep sir,
Preparing the manual as well as presenting.
definitely. Sandeep sir to kahin dikh nahi rahe, so somehow we just miss him. But Sandeep sir, hats off to you also. And we would wait for another day, same time, same place for another module tomorrow. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.